right, I'm Chris Avena with American Outdoor News with another episode of American Outdoor News Podcast. I'm here with Kevin Paulson, the Executive Director of AGLOW, that's Association of Great Lake Outdoor Riders. Kevin, thanks so much for taking the time today.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity today.
Well, we've known each other a long time, so.
It's only taken me a decade plus to get onto your podcast, Chris.
That's not true. You've been on with Hunting Life.
Yeah, I know. No, it has been a while though. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So you are the new executive director at AGLOW. That's the Association of Great Lake Outdoor Riders. Tell me a little bit about AGLOW.
AGLOW is a 69-year-old trade association for outdoor riders. It was started back in 1956, and it was founded in the Great Lakes. But today we say that all lakes are Great Lakes, and we're a national organization encompassing members across 40 states and 3 Canadian provinces. And we've been growing, all the way through. We're getting ready to hold our 69th annual conference in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, September 21st through the 25th. And I couldn't be more excited to step into this role. It's kind of a dream role for me. I interviewed for it back in March of last year, and they let me know last summer that I was going to, get the opportunity to step into this role. And I've been passionate about outdoor writing, kind of since I came into this industry, and been mentoring young outdoor writers, through Hunting Life, and getting to step into an association that kind of does the same thing was really kind of a dream opportunity for me.
Well, AGLOW has always had a strong presence in the outdoor industry. Especially with the writers and communicators, outdoor content providers, things of that nature. How has AGLOW evolved over the years?
Well, I think that AGLOW certainly evolved because we were one of the very first organizations that allowed content creators to come in, and it wasn't just, outdoor writers. Going back over a decade ago, AGLOW was one of the very first organizations that allowed in, YouTubers and other content creators to come into the fold. And, that was really big. And especially, being an organization that has been, very strong on the fishing side, as well as the hunting side, but, really very, very strong on the fishing side, because of the makeup of the Great Lakes. Content creation on the YouTube side was really, really big on that side. So, in order for the organization to grow, they allowed those content creators to kind of come in, and we've kind of continued to embrace that as we've, grown.
Well, I know firsthand, American Outdoor News has won an award for our podcast from AGLOW. So
that's the best. I love that. No, that's great. And we have every year, we have our awards in craft, and it is a very heated competition. And, we allow members to kind of come in and compete, and we have categories all the way across the board. We have categories for podcasting. We have categories for magazines and publishing. We have categories for writing and photography. And so, that's just one of the member benefits of being a member of AGLOW.
Well, I'm in New York. I'm obviously not in the Great Lakes region. How do you connect with other parts of the country? There's organizations that are stigmatized by their name. How does AGLOW overcome that?
Yeah, really with that tagline of, all lakes are Great Lakes, and there's not a state in the country that doesn't have some Great Lakes in it. And so we're kind of using that tagline to kind of branch out, across a national basis. I think that, we certainly have that stigma of being a regional organization, but how we're really going to, overcome that is as an organization, we're working very, very hard to create the member benefits for not only the media, but for the destinations that we work with and the corporate partners that we work with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we really see those three groups as being the most important part of our organization. And conservation organizations are kind of a part of that as well. And so, it's really four legs on a stool that continue to keep our organization moving forward. Mm-hmm. And so, the writers are kind of the forefront of why our organization was created. And so all of our media partners, whether they're, podcasters or radio stars or television stars or outdoor writers or bloggers or YouTubers, we allow those members to come in, and we vet those members very strongly to make sure that they are professional individuals and that they're focused on growing themselves, their craft, and also, they are making money from the industry. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make sure that, they're professional across the board. We allow conservation organizations to come in across the board. And so organizations like, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and Boone and Crockett and Safari Club International and the American Sport Fishing Association and ATA and NSSF, et cetera. Those are all kind of part of that group.
Sure.
Then we allow corporations to come on board, everything from Christensen Arms to Pulsar to Spy Point, et cetera. And those organizations can kind of come in, and they're there to work with the media partners. And obviously they want to put their products in front of as many media people as humanly possible to work on garnering earned media opportunities. Mm-hmm. They also want to introduce their products to those influencers and those writers, et cetera, because a lot of those companies have affiliate marketing partnerships as well. And then we also work with destinations. And so we allow destinations all across the entire country to become members of our organization, everything from Alabama Black Belt Adventures to Gaylord, Michigan, to Eau Claire, Devil's Lake, etc., Fort Myers, Florida. We're working on bringing in a lot more of those destination partners into AGLOW. I was just down at a conference this week and introduced our organization to over 100 different destinations across the country. And we're working with those destinations to understand the value of partnering with our organization. And again, it's all about member benefits, right? So sure. We know that as we talk to those four pillars that make our organization great, we know that we can provide each of them the member benefits that really offsets, the small amount of membership fee that we ask to join our organization.
You actually segued right into my next question. What are the member benefits for being a member of AGLOW? Is there continuing ed? Are there freelance opportunities? What are the benefits of being a member?
Well, first and foremost, I think the benefits of being a member are you're a part of an association. And so we'll start with kind of the media side.
Yeah.
So if you're a content creator, it's being a part of an association that really cares about driving you forward and speaks for you on a national front. And so, I'm out there creating partnerships with the NSSF and SHOT Show and ATA and the American Sport Fishing Association so that we can get our members into those shows very, very quickly and easily. We provide all of our media members a press card. And so that shows that they are a vetted member of the media, and that's incredibly important. Mm-hmm. We are working on member benefits of everything from the opportunity to get discount travel and things like that to, partnerships with the corporate partnerships. We do media trips yearly. We're planning on doing 10 media trips in 2026. And so as we're working on setting up those media opportunities, we are putting that information in front of all of our members, and we allow them to apply for those media trips. We did 2 this year already, and we've got a third one planned that we're working on right this moment. We did Devil's Lake, North Dakota, and we did a fishing trip there. We had close to 15 people at that event, and we took people fishing for walleye and pike in Devil's Lake, and we gave them opportunities to create content, as well as getting to work with some corporate partners at that location.
Hmm.
And, they came home with actual, product that they could then, put out there in the marketplace. And so that really, really helps them. And, we are working with as many of these destinations as humanly possible so that, those individuals can then contact those specific destinations and, create FAM trips or what they call familiarization trips.
Uh-huh.
And, the media trips as well. And then we produce a conference every year where we do a lot of education and we offer the networking opportunities for individuals to really connect and have that belly to belly time all the way across the board.
Well, I know you're fairly new to the position, and knowing you, I know you put together a game plan.
Oh yeah.
What what do you envision for Glow, say within the next 12 months?
My goal is to bring in 50 new destinations across the country that can work with our media partners all the way across the entire board and provide the destination opportunities for our members. Working with our corporate partners and our destination partners in getting we've just rebuilt basically both of our websites. We have aglowoutdoors.com and we have the outdoorfeed.org. And both of those websites are incredibly vitally important to our members. Like Aglow Outdoors really is our branded website. This is who we are. This is how our members access our membership portal. And when somebody comes and they want to learn about Aglow, they go to aglowoutdoors.com. Then we have the outdoor feed, and what that does is that allows every single one of our members an additional place to put their content. So when you do a podcast, Chris, you can send it to Brett and our team at the outdoor feed, and he will share that information up on the outdoor feed so that people can have more access and they can see your show and be able to share that information. And that is always there for all of our members across the entire board. We're rebuilding that site. We'll actually launch the brand new site at our conference here in September. And as that new site's going, we're adding in banners for every single one of our corporate members and every single one of our destination members. Again, providing that kind of member benefit for each of those members across the entire board. And so that's kind of what I'm working on over this next year is bringing in companies specifically. We just added Christensen Arms as a new corporate partner today. And I'm very excited about that. I think that's a win for our members,
Yeah.
and it's a win across the board, all the way. All the way. It'll be a member benefit for Christensen as well because they're going to get a banner on our website.
Yeah.
They're going to get access to over 200 media members, and they'll actually be able to place their press releases and things on the outdoor feed. So that helps.
So you're going to be introducing more hunting opportunities as well as fishing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll become a much more rounded organization. We'll always keep our strong roots in fishing. It's unique. We had the opportunity a couple of years ago to visit the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, which has right at just over 400 members across the United States. And as we started looking through the rank and file members of people who had been inducted into the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, over 52 of those members were past Aglow members.
Wow.
And so, we'll always be proud of and be a strong advocate for sport fishing in the United States. And I don't think that's ever going to go away. And in fact, we're embracing the fishing media all the way across the entire board. I'm going to be volunteering for the American Sport Fishing Association on some of their committees, and we have actually embraced them as coming in and being a part of our association as well.
Well, we sponsor a fishing trip every year as well, so Aglow members are always welcome.
Oh, I appreciate that.
It's we actually went tuna fishing this year, deep sea, 30, 40 miles offshore. Unfortunately, we didn't hook any tuna this year, but it was still a beautiful day out on the water. We saw plenty of whales and dolphins and things of that nature, and we just had a great time with, being, with like-minded individuals out on the water.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
So you also run the Outdoor Hive.
Yes.
Now, how did you? I know you put a lot of thought and a lot of time putting this together. Tell me how the progression of how this started and where it is now.
Yeah. So I honestly had seen I'd seen a newsletter basically in kind of the outdoor industry. I've kind of blurred the lines between kind of going to SHOT Show, which is kind of our traditional, like that's our biggest show, and then
Sure.
this year was my first year at ICAST and ATA. But I've also kind of gone to some shows that were kind of outside the realm. I've been to SEMA in the past. I've been to the Outdoor Retailer Show. And, for many years I'd go to the Outdoor Retailer Show and there was this website that was kind of focused on pushing people, into outdoor employment, and Outdoor Industry Jobs was out there. And it was, Outdoor Industry Jobs is a tremendous resource. But, what was unique was it was really not tailored specifically to hook and bullet opportunities.
Yeah.
And then, over the past, decade of being in this industry, I've had friends that were at various companies all across, the industry. And I would see these friends every single year at SHOT Show. And sometimes you'd see one friend that was at one company and then, 6 months later he's at another company, and you kind of follow your friends around the trade show.
Sure.
And then, you'd see some people kind of like all of a sudden they would disappear. And I was like, boy, I'll bet that, they probably really wanted to be in this industry. And they, once they're kind of in, you're going to SHOT Show and you're part of the industry, you want to stay in that industry, whether that's in archery or whether that's in sport fishing or whether that's in shooting and hunting, you begin to make friends. And so I kind of thought that, hey, we really should create a very industry specific resource for people looking for employment in our industry. And so we started that with a newsletter. And I had been basically like ruminating over a couple of years, like how to kind of make this happen.
Yeah.
And really, a big part of that was I really needed a partner. Because I knew that, a newsletter, it needed to be consistent. And I'm very busy.
Yeah.
And so I needed somebody who would hold me accountable. And so I found that in my partner, Dave Dolby. And Dave and I have been friends for over a decade. And I said, Dave, I said, I really need somebody that will hold me accountable and that I could hold accountable and we could work off each other and kind of create that, feed. And he had really a lot of industry experience on the editing side, but also on the shooting side specifically. And so, I kind of had more experience on hunting and fishing. And so it really works out very well for the both of us. We started this newsletter as a pro bono, affair. And obviously we're hoping to get to a point where we can kind of make it, profitable and, turn it into a real business. And I think we're getting closer and closer. Again, kind of about that member benefit, right? It's got to be a strong enough member benefit for the people who are going to subscribe to it.
Sure.
And it has to be kind of a strong enough member benefit to the companies that are going to, write the check and pay for their ads and, their listings for their jobs. And I think we're getting closer and closer every day.
Well, I think we needed a niche where people who are in let's face it, once you're in the industry, you don't want to leave the industry.
Yeah.
It really is a remarkable industry where it's like a brotherhood and you make friends, you want to stay in the industry, and to find a job is not always that easy. So you kind of bridge that gap where people are looking, companies are looking, you're bringing them all together, and I think that's an amazing idea. And I know you've grown really quickly over the past year.
Yeah, it's been fun. It really has to to watch the subscriber count grow, week after week, because I go to ATA and I go to SHOT Show and I go to ICAST, and ICAST this year was just, God, I was just off the hook. I mean, it was so exciting to be there. You could feel the energy. It was palpable. And, I walk around that show and I'm like, there's not a single person who's here at ICAST who probably wouldn't sign up for our newsletter if they knew about it.
Sure.
And really, so it's just kind of this process of spreading the news and letting people know, like, hey, it's out there. There's 60,000 people that attend SHOT Show. There's 5,000 or 6,000 people that attend ATA. There's 10,000 people that attend ICAST. And all of those individuals would probably be interested in signing up for Outdoor Hive, that comes every single Wednesday afternoon into their email box, and it lists jobs in their industry.
Yeah.
And even if they're the happiest person in the world, they're a CEO of a small fishing brand or a small hunting brand, they're still going to want to know, like, what their competition's doing, who's hiring, who's not,
Yeah.
what the salary ranges are for specific jobs. And we tell everybody, like, we will list jobs from the factory floor all the way to the C-suite. So we're not exclusive to only executive opportunities. Like, I want to be listing the jobs for the CNC operator or the guy sweeping the floor who wants his first start at, Henry. He's just he just wants to get in the industry no matter what. And, like, those jobs should be there. We're slowly, I had a couple of guys contact me that were fresh out of the military, and they told me that they were so excited to see our newsletter because they were really wanting that start. I talked to a couple of interns with the Outdoor Channel, and those guys were excited. They're like, "We're reading your newsletter," and I'm like, "Oh, that's so, that makes me excited." Because I know it's going to make a difference, and I can't wait. I've been slowly hearing people that are applying for jobs. I haven't yet got that call yet that said, "Hey, Kevin, I got the job, and I got it from your newsletter." I haven't got that one yet, but I'm hoping.
So how do people find Outdoor Hive?
It's outdoor-hive.com, and they can go and read any of our past newsletters, and they can sign up and subscribe right there. All they do is put their email address in. It's completely free. It'll always be free to job hunters.
I know I get it every week, so yeah. I'm a subscriber to everything.
Well, it's been, like I said, it's been fun. I will say that there have been a couple of Wednesdays where it's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, it's Wednesday. I got to get the newsletter out. And it's like, oh, remembering that, like, and again, that's where kind of having that partner of, like, if Dave's busy, he can rely upon me. And if I'm busy, or like last week I was at a show in Miami, and, I had to call him up and say, like, hey, you're going to have to edit this and send it out. Like, I got the dad jokes in, and I was like, I couldn't do anymore.
Yeah.
So
it's a process. And, between AGLOW and Outdoor Hive, and you also run Hunting Life.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and with Hunting Life, it's that's kind of how I got my start in this industry. Was I sold my outfitting business, and the day I sold it, I bought huntinglife.com, and I started a blog. It actually had Hunting Life at blogspot.com was my very first blog.
Wow.
And then I spent probably close to a year building out the website, and we built out this really complicated CMS website that I paid a ton of money to a developer, and learned some lessons about working with developers. And then about 5-6 years later, we transferred it over to WordPress and have been on WordPress ever since. And produce a magazine and crank right through.
So you had Hunting Life, and just recently you have the Hunting Life website, and now you have Hunting Life magazine.
Yeah. We about 3 years ago, kind of actually partly inspired by you and partly inspired by talks with other digital magazines in the industry. we decided to kind of create our own digital magazine, and it's grown, and we've also gotten to win an award and compete against you in some
Yeah.
competitions. It's been super fun.
Well,
And
don't lie. You were thinking about it, and I had American Outdoor News, and you said, "Well, hell, if Chris can do it."
yeah, exactly. No, it was just kind of an opportunity to go out and try something new, and we had being a website. I think you experienced this too. It was hard selling advertising on just a website.
Oh, sure,
And
sure.
so creating a magazine helped us to increase our reach when we were talking to corporations and saying, hey, like, we are funded by advertising dollars. Like, what do you want? What do you want me to, like, what is it as an advertiser? Like, how can I provide you the best return on investment? And the magazine kind of helped bridge that
Sure.
gap. And so from that perspective, it helped us to kind of come back, kind of like, well, we had started the magazine prior to COVID a little bit, but we had COVID, and it was like, okay, we got to really crank this up and really make this work. And that's what kept us alive and kept us growing. And that's kind of what's keeping us growing right now. It's been that magazine and the quality of the writers that we've been able to add. And
Yeah.
I have this amazing editor in Brittany Booth that helps us run the magazine, and she's produces it. And when I'm incredibly busy with Outdoor Hive or incredibly busy with AGLOW, I can kind of lean on her, and
Yep.
she takes the lion's share of the work. And I'll be perfectly honest, our latest issue, which I'm very, very proud of, I had almost zero input into it because I was so busy focused on my work with AGLOW and with Outdoor Hive and various trade shows and things like that this year. She took that issue and kind of like really just took control of it and did a phenomenal job. And that's the value of having a great partner.
Yep. Well, she really did a good job with this issue. I always read your magazine as well, and um, it really is. It's really clean, great content. Um, it's a page turner. It really, even the graphics are really crisp and eye catching.
Yeah, no, and like I said, Brittany does a really, really great job. We have a really great partnership with our graphics guy as well, and and with the writers. I mean, I think that that's really the key. We're at that stage now where we're
Content is
getting
king. Yeah.
we're getting writers coming to us and saying like, how do I get to be a part of this?
Yeah.
And it does help, like I said, all of my jobs, like it is like, oh, Kev's incredibly busy. I'm like, yeah, but all of my jobs kind of tie in together because you know, there are, over 200 members of AGLOW that I can reach out to and say, hey, I'm looking for an article over here. Could you, who's interested in, writing a duck hunting article this month?
Yeah.
And so that helps.
It does.
Being out there and, doing Outdoor Hive, it's all about my passion for this industry all across the entire board. Hunting Life was really built, to spread the message of the North American conservation model, and allow me to pursue my passion of the outdoors. Stepping up and creating Outdoor Hive was really about my passion for my friends in this industry and continuing to see this industry grow.
Yeah.
And then with AGLOW, it's really like the industry grows through great storytelling. And so I'm helping an organization to, reward and honor the great storytellers that are currently in our industry and hopefully bring in and mentoring, some new young outdoor writers. A lot of people don't know that, Chris, you just had your anniversary issue launched today.
We did.
Tell us, how many years has it been?
Shockingly, it's been 7 years.
Yeah.
It seems like yesterday that I started this. Um, I could not have done it without a lot of help from my friends. Um, Friends in the industry, people you meet over the years doing interviews or writing articles. You've written quite a few articles for me when I first started the magazine, and we would not be where we are today without the help of friends. There's
Absolutely, absolutely.
no question about it.
Well,
Uh,
and I know that you're working with some young outdoor writers. I'm working with some young outdoor writers to kind of bring them up through the ranks. And I think that that's really like why we're all like having the success that we're having is because I think people see that passion that we all have
uh-huh.
for the outdoors, but also like, for mentoring others and influencing, growing.
Well, while we're on that topic, uh, you, me, and Marlo and a few other people, we did just start an young outdoor writers mentorship program that we don't have a name for. Uh,
It's coming. It'll come at some point.
but I am actually mentoring a young writer that's going to be in my October issue, and he's a young kid who grew up hunting with his family, and it's he's fostered a passion for the outdoors, and now he wants to write about it, and we'll see where it goes from here. But if we don't help the next generation get a start, they'll never be where we are or beyond where we are. Uh, the industry will fade.
No,
You,
1,000%. I mean, we survive by storytelling.
yeah,
I mean, hunting survives by storytelling across the entire board, and fishing survives by storytelling. Because at the end of the day, like, people will always fish and they'll always hunt, but without great storytelling influencing the younger generation into hunting, into going out and fishing, getting to see kind of those great destinations and those great opportunities that are out there, people won't participate.
well, it was the great storytelling that got me into the outdoors. Growing up, you're reading Field and Stream, you're reading Robert Rourke or Peter Capstick or Teddy Roosevelt's adventures. All of that is a culmination of sparking a passion for, hey, I want to do what that guy does. And
Oh, 100%. 100%. Whether it was the great stories of Jack O'Connor or, I mean, honestly, Jim Zumbo was,
sure,
somebody I read in a huge way. Flip Pallet, those individuals, and Flip Pallet just passed away last week, and it was
yeah.
just like heartbreaking to see that. But, still, like I used to wake up on Sunday mornings and watch Walker's Cay Chronicles. And I know I wanted to go to the Bahamas and fish in Florida waters in my
Yeah.
whole life, and it was because of a man like Flip Pallet.
Well,
Jim Zumbo. The reason I wanted to hunt elk was Jim Zumbo talking about hunting elk, and going into he's famous for shooting elk in really gnarly
yeah.
places, and laughing about it, to be honest with you. But and I chased after that myself in my guiding operation. I think every client I ever had shot an elk in the complete hellhole. But you learn to pack them out, and it is what it is.
Well, we're talking about mentorship. Um, when I first started American Outdoor News, Larry Wizoon reached out to me right away. He said, I want to write for you. I said, Larry, I can't afford you. I just started this publication. He said, don't worry about it. Larry's been writing with me for 7 years, and he's been such a strong mentor who's guided me through some tough decisions. Um, and it's that's what it's about. It's not easy running a publication. He's written thousands of articles. He's written books, TV shows. He knows everybody in the industry, and he's helped me along the way. He's been I could never repay what he's done for me. So my way of doing that is paying it forward.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And men like Louisoun, Jim Zumbo, Jack O'Connor, these guys are legends.
Yeah,
I mean, they're true legends. Ted
our
Nugent,
our industry
legends.
would not be what it is without those people blazing the trail.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And, it's those partnerships between those individuals, the brands, the conservation organizations, our national public lands, like all those come together, and great storytelling kind of puts an amazing bow on the entire world out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Hunters and fishermen have been telling stories around the campfire for thousands of years. You know,
Well, think about it. You used to go camping as a kid. What'd you do around the campfire? Uh, the elders told stories.
100%.
We passed it on, who passed it on, and passed it on. So that's what we're doing in a media sense.
Yep. Yeah.
But we are running out of time. Um, how do we become an AGLOW member?
Go to aglowoutdoors.com and sign up. I mean, honestly, like you have to be, as a media member, you have to be a professional. We certainly have, aspiring, individuals that come in and they become kind of an associate member at first. And then, as they grow, they can become an active member. So we have that opportunity for, up and comers and students and things like that who are looking to get into the industry. Corporations can certainly become members. Destination marketing organizations can become members, or tourism, locations can become members. And then obviously we have the vast majority of the conservation organizations already as members, but we're, happy to add new nonprofits and things like that. And membership, honestly, there is not a membership in our organization that is more than $200 at this current point, even for a corporation.
Right.
There's always opportunities for corporations to spend more money with us, but at this moment, the actual base level membership for anybody is no more than $200.
All right. Well, it's affordable. You learn a lot. You make a lot of contacts. There's a ton of benefits for being involved as an outdoor writer with some of these organizations like AGLOW and POMA and some of the others out there. There's state organizations, local organizations. Get involved.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I tell people, there's three national organizations kind of in our industry for writing and for content creation. There's OWAA, there's POMA, there's AGLOW. Join one organization at a minimum. I would prefer you all join AGLOW. Because that's what I want, and as executive director, I want this organization to be the premier hook and bullet content organization in the nation, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that the member benefits are there for everybody, and you will never have to question me on whether or not we're providing a return on your investment every year. I guarantee we as an organization will do that. So that's first and foremost. But join the small organizations too, the New York Outdoor State Writers, the Hoosier Outdoor Writers in Indiana, the Texas Outdoor Writers Association, and Herman Bruns, the manager of that. And, join those local state organizations too, because honestly, I haven't found one yet that's more than $50 a year. And as a media individual, those organizations are amazing opportunities to create local connections that you need in order to be able to tell a story about the place that you live. And I'll give an example, like in Indiana, the Hoosier Outdoor Writers, like they're constantly putting information out in front of me about local things specifically in Indiana that as an out-of-state person, I would never even know about. But even as a local person, I probably wouldn't know about, because it's just like, I wish we had a Nebraska Outdoor Writers Association here, because then I could be like, oh, here's some things I would learn about Sandhills or about the Niobrara, or, those local things that I just don't get to see.
Well, in all of your free time, that's another thing you could start.
Well, no, yeah, I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is hopefully I can inspire somebody else to go do that. I don't think Nebraska has enough outdoor writers in it to make that much of a difference, but
Yep.
Indiana did, and there's probably 50 members in Indiana. Missouri Outdoor Communicators Association, like I said, Texas Outdoor Writers, the New York State Outdoor Writers Association. I want to say that's like 40 or 50 people strong. It's a pretty good organization, and it's been around for like
Well,
30 some years or more. So I think that those organizations are great, and I think that they're worth supporting. I think at one time there was like 17 or 20 organizations around the country that were these little small regional organizations, and obviously AGLOW was one of those. 50 plus 60, 69 years ago, we were that little small organization of a few people. And we have grown and grown and grown, and now we're one of the big national organizations. And we're one of the organizations that vets people into SHOT Show, and we vet people into ICAST and ATA. And so, we've gotten that honor to be a national organization, and we will protect that very strongly.
that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. If you have not joined AGLOW, definitely look at the website and sign up. If you haven't subscribed to the American Outdoor News Podcast, hit that subscribe button now. Give us a like, give us a review, and we'll see you all again next week.